Welcome back to another episode of the Highlight Reel. As you can see, I have a special guest today. Very interesting guest. I'm gonna go ahead and let him introduce himself. Go ahead.
I'm Tramell, or owner of Mello Six Apparel. Also have a nonprofit, Mello Six U. Working with kids and just teaching them the fundamentals of business. I've been an entrepreneur since 2017, so I'm just kind of trying to usher the next generation in.
Yes, sir. Big bad. So you said Mello Six, right? All right. So what is that?
So
I'm confused on what that is.
Mello Six Apparel started in 2020. So really it initially started as something that I was because I was in college at that time.
Yeah.
So I was just trying to make some money on the side. I was doing custom t-shirts prior to that. And I was making money, but I wasn't making enough. So I'm like, how could I make this stack up a little bit more? Plus, I also didn't have that much time to be sitting there making the customs. Like making customs is super time consuming. You got to be, and it's more personal with the customers too, because it's more back and forth and all of that. So Mello Six Apparel came out of that. And also I always wanted my own clothing line. That's why the six, stands for the manifestation period of it. So in 2014 is when I first realized that I wanted to own my own clothing line.
And how old were you at the time?
I was starting high school. So I was starting ninth grade.
So you were 14, 13?
Yeah, I was 13, 14. So it really actually was the summer before I started high school. And I was just trying to make me some money, trying to see how. And then that was the one thing that I realized, you could, anybody could own a clothing brand and, turn it into something. So when I was in college, that's kind of where I guess I had more resources. I had a little bit of money from making the t-shirts I had saved up and all that. So I'm okay, now I got something to play with. Yeah. So, it was my freshman year of college where I was initially trying to start up Mello Six, but I was tried to start it up, but failed because of things that we just won't get into.
Yeah.
So 2020 is when Mello Six really became official, and that's where at first the name was just Mello. Like I said, the six came from the manifestation period of me wanting to do it and it actually existing. So that's where I got the six from. So
you saying the manifestation period?
That's what the six stands for. When I very first ever thought that I wanted a clothing brand to when it actually became my reality, it became real. So it was a 6-year period.
Oh yeah, 2014, 2020, right.
Yep.
Wow.
So that's something I don't explain to a lot of people too. I just kind of let people think that the six stand for whatever. A lot of people be thinking this got something to do with Drake, because Drake is my favorite artist, but absolutely not. I don't dick ride that hard. Can I say that on my
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with Drake. But I also and I thought that too before I started. I'm bro, everybody about to think that my brand is a direct reflection of Drake, but absolutely not. That's what the six stands for, the manifestation period of it. So like I said, when I first started Mello Six, I was just making I saw immediate success. I don't know if that was because of my t-shirt business that I had. So I kind of already had a little customer base.
Yeah.
But I was really nervous about it.
Well, you say you already had a customer base.
Yeah, from selling the custom t-shirts.
Okay.
Which that business was called, or still is called, because I still do the custom stuff. I just don't always make them.
Yeah.
Mel's tees. So I think because I was doing those since 2017, people kind of already related me to making clothes, I guess. I just didn't have my own brand. Yeah. So when I started, it was successful from the start. And so that's what kind of made me stick to it, I think. Yeah. I think maybe if I wouldn't have been so successful with my debut, I probably would have been maybe just went back to making customs or something like that. So thank God for that, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
The way it was sounding for a second, I'm are you happy for the success, or are you not happy for the success?
Absolutely. Yes. Okay. Yes. So I was just shocked, I guess. I was really, really, I didn't expect for it to happen. So after 2020, I just continue making money with Mello Six, just selling stuff and just, moving. I didn't have a business plan written and nothing was official with it. I was kind of just designing stuff, selling it and going about my day, cause I was still in school, in college. So, it wasn't until after graduating Mello Six became something more official, which is how my nonprofit came out of it. And I wrote a business plan. I finally have a team now. So now it's an official thing, something that I do officially, because other people are involved, with it.
All right. So let me stop you for a second. Okay. So you know all these things, right? All right. Do you know somebody that knew all these different things, or did you just do it as you went?
So yeah, I just did it as I went. Like I literally forced myself to learn, like whatever it was, like, and it would be, some stuff would be crazy. Like I didn't know how to, for example, this is just one example. When I was making the custom t-shirts, like I said, it was very personal with the customers. Like they were always calling me, texting me, all of that. Like I didn't have a website because I didn't know how to build a website. So for Mello Six, I literally learned how to build a website. I just forced myself to learn how. Yeah, like I built my website myself. So now I know how to like make websites, and I've acquired like a lot of skills just trying to be successful with Mello Six, because it's like I don't accept like no for an answer. And before I did have a team to help me, it was like, it was just always me. Like you have no choice but to make it work, right?
Okay, so I'm guessing you're grateful. Are you grateful for the fact that you kind of started by yourself?
I am grateful that I started by myself. Sometimes I like to think like if I had started with a team of people to help me, will I have not struggled as much as I did? Because I did go through like a lot, bumped my head like a ton, wasted a ton of money too.
I feel like that's one of the,
but I mean, it's part of the grind.
I was gonna say, ironically, I feel like that's one of the best ways you learn, because you're not gonna ever want to lose the money again. Exactly. So you're gonna be like, what do I need to do?
Exactly.
Okay.
To prevent that. Yep.
So, and now you have a team.
Yeah.
So this team that you have, did they reach out to you, or were you like, hey, I think that we would benefit each other if we did this, and you reached out to them? Which one happened?
So kind of like, so some of the people on my team, both. So first, the first team member that I ever got, and mind you also, I'm so like bullheaded that when I was officially like starting to write my business plan, I was like in the midst of writing it, but still in my head, I was thinking I could do all of this by myself. Like I wasn't thinking about anything. So, actually, my current manager now, he just called me, and that's someone I've been close to for like a long time in my life. And he knows like a lot and helps
us with a
lot. Yeah. So let me tell you. So I was like, so this is going to like go off course a little bit, but I had just recently stopped working in surgery. So I moved back to Cleveland because I was working in surgery out of state. And I'm like, okay, now that I'm like not working in corporate, let me use this time to get Mello Six officiated. Like, let me write this business plan like while I'm got free time. So I was in the midst of writing my business plan, and my manager called me. He wasn't my manager at the time though. Like he just called me to see what I was up to. We hadn't talked in months. Like, he kind of was just like almost like a big brother to me. So he called me, and I'm like, he wanted me to come by his house just for us to like chill and, catch up, because we hadn't seen each other in a while. So I'm like, no, like everybody know, like when I'm locked in with something, nothing is distracting me. So I'm like, no, I'm like, the only way I'm coming is if you like review my business plan for me. Like I'm in the midst of writing it. Like if you review it and help me with it, then I'll come over there and chill with you. So he was like, bet. So I went over, I showed him what I had. He was just like blown away. Like he was like, wow. And so the way it happened, like our goals, like you said, kind of aligned. Like all of the stuff that he does and what I was doing, I had no organization. Like I'm not a very organized person. And that was the biggest thing that I needed. I know that's like shocking. Like, for example, prior to me doing this, like, people for some reason think I come off as super organized, but no, like I'm the type of person to like write down all my stuff and like set, like, it just be a chaotic mess. And he saw that and he was like,
so wait, so you're not organized, or you are organized?
I'm not organized. I'm not like, I think I'm organized with assistance. Like if like how when I was in college and you get like a class schedule and like all of that and like you got to do this at this time, then I could be organized in that aspect. But when you have a business, you have to create your own organization system. Like you got to know what you got to do at a specific time, or else you'll just be doing random stuff. Or like imagine if you got like 10 things to do for the day. My brain, I would just be working on like all 10 things at once, like trying to do a little bit for each. And he came in and it kind of was like, no. Work on this day, do this day, do this at this hour, and break it up like this, and you'll be much more efficient.
So he kind of helped to guide how you manage where you put your energy, basically.
Exactly, in my time. And so he also, would assure that I was doing those things on a specific day that I was supposed to. Like he helped me. I wasn't using a planner prior to him being my manager. I wasn't using a calendar. I was using a whiteboard though. But
so you weren't using any of these things?
Nope.
But you was getting it done.
Yeah.
Respect.
So I was just like all over the place. And so he came in and, he helped me. So then like over time, like you said earlier, I did start to reach out to people who I thought could help me with certain stuff. Like if I was looking at, I was literally looking at people on LinkedIn, seeing like what they do and like what the history of what they do. And I was reaching out like, can you please help me with this? And, of course, like, a lot was hit or miss. Like some people would not be interested. Some people would be. But, now we're here. So now I'm really grateful for all of the people that helped me and work with me. And like, I think now, like, I don't know what I would do. Like if I was doing it solo by myself again, Wow.
So, cause it sounds like you definitely, built this from the ground up, brick by brick. And I know that take a lot of work. Cause, I didn't really start to think of myself as an entrepreneur until I started the podcast. Cause then once I start to go to different conferences and stuff like that, people talk about podcasting and entrepreneurship. I'm like, in my mind, I'm thinking that doesn't apply to me, but
it absolutely does.
It's like if entrepreneurs do this to grow their business and I want to do this to grow the podcast, then I am therefore an entrepreneur. So it's crazy when I think about that because I feel like there's a stigma that probably comes with that. It's like entrepreneur, uppity, always busy. Like always busy. That's probably true. But it's like, people say you don't want to work. It's like, no, I want to work for me.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like, I want to be able to get up and know the money I made is for me and my people. So it's always interesting when I'm talking to other entrepreneurs because it's like hearing you say that you were not organized when I walked in here, you had a computer.
I know.
You had a computer out, like everything. I'm thinking, shoot, my fault. Like, golly. But so when you say you're not organized, I think that helps people relate. Because they're thinking, dang, if I'm not super organized, because, some people have ADHD or whatever, different mental things. So it's like, I have to always be organized.
Yeah.
I'm not saying don't get organized. I'm not saying don't get organized. But I think you are a prime example of how you didn't wait for things to look pretty. You just started and made it into perfection. And I think that's one of the biggest lessons I've been learning as an entrepreneur. Whenever you learn, like if you're waiting till the perfect opportunity or you're waiting till the perfect time, it's not going to come. It's not going to come. So you need to start it and build it into
as you go. Like you just kind of just learn as you go. Like I said, with the organization piece, I wouldn't be like, I'm only organized because I have to be. Like if I wasn't being checked up on by my manager and stuff, I would just be like just doing random shit. Like I would be getting stuff done, but I would be doing just anything like throughout the day. So to wake up, I think that's something that entrepreneurs should 1,000% know. Like a planner, a calendar, and maybe a whiteboard is like, those are your holy grails. Like you need to literally, because it's up to you to build a system for your business or else it just won't exist. Like and then prior to me, having this team and stuff, I was never really like super punctual. Like I was kind of like, I would just like,
when you showed up.
Yeah. Show up when I show up, like, okay, I'll get there when I get there. 15 minutes, not that bad. Yeah. And I started to notice that people, above me and people who are more important than me would kind of look at me side-eyed if I was literally like only 5 minutes late. Yeah. So you know what I did? I started to look at the people I work with like side-eyed. Even if we were on a Zoom call or something, I would be like, why were you 5 minutes late? Like what's going on? So now everybody seriously, like even on Zoom calls, we're like, if I'm doing, there was a period, I want to say it was back in like March or something. I'm still trying to find like a good marketer, or marketing team to help me. I was interviewing like a lot of marketing people like over Zoom though, because most of them are like out of state and stuff. Yeah. So if it was like one, I would have like several lined up for a day. And if it was one that was like late or something, even by 5 minutes, then you automatically, I'm just don't want to work with you. And I'm going to go see what this guy's talking about. Yeah. Because he was on here like 10 minutes early. He got like notes already ran down and stuff. And so I think I just learn as I go pretty much. And I think that's what most entrepreneurs do too. Like just pick up from other entrepreneurs like, okay, he doing that. And that seemed like that's working. So let me see how I could make that work for me too. Yeah. I think that's one of the best things that you can do is basically just start. Like once you start, then you start to think, dang, I'm like, why'd I wait so long? But I'm glad I started at least because I have some kind of experience and some kind of skin in the game. Exactly. I do want to ask you though. Okay. So you started, so you like fashion? Yes. Because I was going to ask you, did you start this for money or for the love of fashion? So I started back in, like I said, when the initial, I initially knew I wanted a clothing brand. It was not more about this. I did write an ebook too, because I told you for my nonprofit, I want to like help kids. So that's kind of what the ebook talked about too. It go way more into detail about really how it was like started. So, I was interested in fashion back then when I was starting high school. Like, I just wanted to fly clothes. Like, I feel like every dude wanted to just be fly for real. So,
I'm not mad at that. Yeah.
So, but my mom, is not rich. Like, I was raised by a single mom. So she wasn't rich and she couldn't afford the stuff that I wanted. Like, even back then when we didn't have it like that, I still had expensive taste. Yeah. So I'm like, the only way I'm gonna make some money is if I'm, doing this. So, that's where my love for clothes probably started. And then, of course, to make money.
Okay. Because then I do want to talk about like discipline for a second as well. So it's like you didn't really have the organization there, and now you have a team around you, right? Yeah. So it's like, how has discipline kind of played a role into you growing this, into you becoming, more successful as time passes?
So with discipline, I would say that that's something, although...
You good? I told you what happens, bro. So go ahead.
Okay. So, although I do lack organization, I think discipline is one of my strong suits, because even if I don't feel like doing something today, it will be the only thing on my mind until I get it done. And that's been something with college. I think college is what taught me discipline the most, because it's like, if you're not disciplined, you just won't make it. Like, you literally will not make it. And I think, that's something that literally just have to be in you. Like, you
think discipline is something that you just have to have in you?
I think so. You think so?
No.
You don't think so? Do you think to be successful, in business or just as an entrepreneur or anything, you don't think it is?
No, I think it's necessary.
I think it's mandatory.
No. That's not what I'm saying. So it seems like, well, obviously discipline. I'm saying I don't think discipline is in you. You have to make the decision to be disciplined. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, you grow up, you don't want to. Okay. Do you want to work hard? Do you want to work hard?
True.
Probably not. You know what I mean? It's like there are uncomfortable things that come with that, right?
Right.
People don't want to be uncomfortable, but that's the beautiful thing about discipline. You being uncomfortable for however long that period is, you'll see some true rewards on the other side. Exactly. That's just something I'm kind of living by right now. I'm like, bro,
that's facts.
You might not want to do it, but if you do it, then these are the results you're going to get. Because I feel like if you want to be a successful business person, I recently went to, not too long ago, I went to something I went to InvestFest. Mm-hmm. And what I kept hearing from people was, discipline. I kept hearing that word. Does that sound like something that's far-fetched? It's like, no, you need to set up this portfolio to do this, to get that money, blah, 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 right?
Right.
If you have some discipline in a certain area and you can apply that to your business, bro, you can see growth. You can see growth. It's just people don't want to do it.
Exactly.
Like with this, for me, I have to get up and do it myself. Like that's discipline, I would say, in a way, because no one else is going to do it for me.
Exactly.
You have to make the decision to put yourself through that, that hardship to see the reward.
Exactly.
So I don't think it necessarily has to be in you. I just think that you have to make the decision
to want to be disciplined.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think, and what I mean by that too, I guess I meant more so by that, like outside of entrepreneurship, but for college. So I think I would agree with that statement you just said. Because maybe I learned discipline, and I don't think, maybe it wasn't in me from jump. Maybe it was something that I learned and, kind of but definitely regardless of the fact, I think it was college that helped me get so disciplined, with every area in my life. I would literally, kid you not, be up till especially my senior year was the worst year for me as far as how difficult my courses was. I would be up till 5 a.m. every single night. Every single night. I would be up till 5 a.m. getting stuff done because I worked the job. I was a neuroscience major, and then I also, the brands, so the brand stuff was full time. The only thing that was kind of blah, it was not really that important was my jobs that I was working. Mm-hmm. But other than that, my business and school was just kept me insanely busy.
Okay. So let's say you started to see the success that you started to see in 2020, because yes, you were still in school, but let's say you would have saw that a little earlier. Because I feel of course, in 2020, we were basically at home, right?
Right.
Did that ever, the little bit of success, and if you would have seen more success, do you think that would have made you want to leave school?
Absolutely not.
Why?
because I think it's been like my mom instilled in me for like just since I could remember, like you're gonna go to college and graduate. Like that's just, it was like, you know how you're gonna go to high school and graduate? That's kind of how college was to me. Like even if like I had just gotten insanely rich, it would be like, just go ahead and finish college. Like it was so far out of my head to not graduate college. So
did she graduate?
No, my mom didn't graduate college. So yeah, it was kind of just like a standard for me, like to have a college degree, even if I would be like, okay, I'm gonna have my college degree and my clothing brand is gonna be like super big, but I'm still have my degree. Like just that's something I got. So actually, since you bring that up, like a funny thing that people always think about me is I always say that my degree is like my plan B and my businesses is my plan A, like for my life. And I knew that back when like I made that decision, which is crazy. My second semester of college, I was like, that's when I was declaring my major. I didn't know if I wanted to do engineering or neuro. And that's where I made that decision. Like, okay, this is going to be my plan B and I'm going to continue with my stuff. So it was before my business even started. I already like pre-made that decision that this degree that I'm about to get in the next couple of years is going to be my plan B.
Yeah. So, and your degree is in what again?
Neuroscience.
So I think you can understand why I'm confused. So you went from neuroscience to so I don't want to say like I'm trying to play it down, but you went from neuroscience to your clothing brand.
Yeah.
Where in the world, like that? Why didn't you go to school for maybe fashion or something like that to where you can maybe learn the skills to help you with it? So, because to me, I'm like,
so, and I think it was because I could not choose. Like I was always interested in, in medicine, but I was also interested in fashion too. So it was like when I was in high school and stuff, because like I said, throughout high school, I always was thinking about having a clothing brand, but I never actually had one. And my mentor in high school would even tell me, she used to be like, you can do both. Like you can do the medical stuff and you can still have a clothing brand. So I'm like, you're right. Like I could do, like if I wanted to, I could do both. So I'm like, that's why I just stuck with neuro. Like I was never like, I never was thinking about picking between the two. Like it was, they were never like competing.
Cause I remember I saw your graduation pictures and I think, you were in the lab, right?
Well, I did a themed photo shoot. I just did a themed photo. So I wasn't actually in the lab, but it was supposed to look like that.
Yeah. So I was like, bro, this is fire, but it's like you're in it. Cause these are two things that in a way they don't relate
at all.
So that's why when I hear that this was an interest and this is an interest and something that you're pursuing still, it's like, where do these things mesh? And that's the way I've seen them mesh. But then I'm like, all right.
And they don't even really mesh.
Right. Because to me, neuroscience is a pretty good thing, I would say, to fall back on. It's like, how many people are in that field or how many people even want to?
Exactly.
That's a whole brain thing, no pun intended, right? But you got that, and then you have your business. So I'm thinking, bro, what the world? Like, that's a lot going on in one for me to even think about to pursue either. And then you did both.
It was like, I honestly, I went through like a lot of really, really dark periods. And that's something that I don't really open up about, like still to this day about. But I went through a lot because I was literally learning about the effects of not getting sleep. Like I did my final senior project on it purposely, like just to kind of slap myself in the face because I was not sleeping. Yeah, like damn near never. So it's like it really affects you a lot. Like if consistently not getting enough sleep. Yeah. It's just crazy. But like I said, I just kind of would always think in my head, like as soon as after I get this degree, like I could just, start living my life the way I want to, like, and work on my brand more and put neuro second, which is kind of what it is now. Like, but like I said, immediately after I graduated, I started working in surgery. Like I had a job before I even graduated to work in surgery. So, but it was like, I wasn't able to really work on my brand. Like I was only like neuro was still first. And I'm like, this is just not going to work. So that was a hard decision too, because everybody, was thinking like, oh, like he's set for life. Like he's working in surgery, like blah, 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 which is true. I was set for life, but I'm looking like, honestly, realistically speaking, I started out making, in surgery, I started out making $45K a year. Okay. So I was thinking like with my brand, like the first year when I started it, I was making like damn near the exact same amount. So I'm like,
Yeah.
Like, I'm not, like, even though, you know, with the surgery job, you get promoted very, very quickly. Like, throughout, you know, within a year, like, I would have been making six figures within a year of working in surgery.
Yeah.
So I don't want everybody to look at me like, oh, what's this? Like, why he just all of a sudden, like, thinking I'm doing the wrong thing. So when I first started working in surgery, I really wasn't telling that many people about it because I didn't want nobody feeling bad for me, because to me, I made the right decision, which now I know I did, because now my job, working in the lab, I initially started the job, like, at my first interview, I told them, like, I got a business that's, you know, first priority. Like, this is first in my life. So, that's literally how I directed the interview. So, and they understood. So now at my job, it's like perfect, because now there will be days where I'm like literally not even in the lab. If it's like, I'm like worked so hard there and have built up such a good reputation that it's like, if I need to take like an hour or two to do something for my brand, they like absolutely just like allow me to do that. Yeah. So it's way better. Yeah, it's way better than surgery. Like, so much better.
You directed the interview like that.
Yeah. Like, I literally like before I went into the interview,
I don't hear that often at all.
Yeah. Like, I had to, because I didn't want to get another job that was like so demanding as surgery was. It was crazy.
I think a lot of people feel that. They just don't say that. It's like, okay, I work here, but like they're nervous to tell them that they have, like, they're nervous to tell their job that they have another passion. Because then, you know, sometimes jobs really will try to take you away from that passion.
They will.
I'm like, for me, look.
And that's not the job for you then.
Yeah.
If like, literally if you got something that you're passionate about, that is important to you, if you noted it in your head as coming first in your life, everybody got to know that. And that's the decision I made. Like, that's what I say. I'm like, if this is going to come first, I need to start being vocal and expressing that, because people are confused and thinking that neuroscience and like my medical side of life is coming first. No, like, I had to make that distinction clear to everyone, including, you know, new employers.
Are you a shy person?
Not really. I don't think I'm shy. Yeah.
I'm getting a lot of bold, like, energy just for everything you're saying. It's like, you know, I don't have to have one. I can have both. Yeah. Or, hello, interviewer, my business comes first.
Yeah,
now what you
absolutely.
Got? It's like,
absolutely.
Huh? That's crazy.
They took it actually really well. I was interviewing with Cleveland Clinic too. Of course, they did not take it that well.
Yeah.
But like I said, they probably want their employer from me. I was just trusting that, although every employer is not about to want to hear that, somebody is going to be like, okay, that works, and that's cool. Dang. And that's what happened. You just got to really, like, I just have faith in God. Honestly, I was also praying a lot, like, Lord, please just send me a job that will understand like what I got going on and where it could coexist. And so, and then that's literally what happened. So sometimes still, I just wake up like feeling blessed to go to work. Like, even if it's a day that's hard at work, I'll be in my head like, but this job is like looking out for me too.
Dude, that's a blessing. Cause like I said, some jobs they're like, look, I know you have your little thing, but you work here, we pay you. It's like, little thing. Like, this excuse you.
This exactly.
Like, I would leave in a heartbeat. Like, don't do that.
Exactly.
But, wow, man. Yeah, I'm just getting bold energies. It's like, from everything you're saying.
I'm shy sometimes.
I feel like I didn't really know you when we was in college. My perception of you was that you were shy or something like that, but I also didn't see you. Yeah. And now I'm hearing, like, you came in a year after I did, but even still, I'm understanding why I probably wouldn't see you. You was at work or working on your brand or working on your brand till 5 a.m. You know what I mean? It's like,
and I think that, like, honestly, I just always cringe at how I was early on in college because I think so many people got a bad perception of me, but it was really my fault. Like, I think my freshman year of college, I was not the friendliest, but like you said, it was because of everything that I had on my plate. And I definitely didn't.
Okay, I'm gonna speak to that now. I gotta speak to that now. Cause I was like you were saying, people had a certain perspective of you in college. All right. Yeah. So when I met you, I remember you were just talking like negative about the school. Yeah. So, and that was my first impression. I'm thinking this is how he is, or some people think they're too cool for school. Yeah. I was really hoping that wasn't you. Cause I'm thinking, I knew people that they would be too cool for school and then have a terrible experience and then blame everybody else.
Exactly.
Thinking, how does it work like that? It doesn't work like that. And I thought that was going to be you. So, and I know that's not me. Yeah. So I was like, all right, I know who he is, but I'll probably not be around him.
Exactly. And everybody, a lot of people took that same approach. Like there were some people who who actually came at me directly. Like, soon as they saw me, they would be like pointing, like, that's that negative, but like literally they would say that negative boy from Twitter is what they would call me.
Oh,
like, or
wow.
something like that. Yeah, or they would be like miserable Mel or something like that.
Dang.
So when they saw me, so no exaggeration, like whenever I would walk past, they'd be like, why you always saying this, or why you say that, or why you, so it was people that was literally direct with it. And I would just be like, you know, how I don't give a fuck attitude.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And a lot of people took the approach that you did, where they're just like side-eye and be like, okay, we gonna leave that nigga where he at. Like, we ain't about to like, you know, care or try to see what's going on with him. Like, he want to be negative, you know, let him stay over there. And there were a couple people, like, I would say only like staff and stuff like that kind of like wanted to dive deeper into, like, okay, what is actually going on? Why is he so negative? Or like, why is he so, nobody, like, no students, you know, asked me, or like, besides like the friends that I went to Kent with, you know, they knew about like what I was like dealing with and stuff. But other than that, I didn't expect them to, because, you know, kids don't know me. Like, those are just my peers. Like, how are they supposed to be? You know, if I'm being negative, then that's the energy you're going to get back. And so that's just what it was.
But I'm glad that you were at least aware of that, because, I mean, again, some people, they'll just be negative and then they won't even be aware of it. So they'll just continue to blame. But I've learned that even when there are issues that you may think is just happening with everyone else, it is good to look inward and figure something out, because in a way you may be contributing. Exactly. And if you are, find out what that is and what you can do to change that. So,
because a lot of times, like you said, people just assume, you know, like, because like I said, there were people that are being like low-key mean to me, or like, you know, coming at me crazy a little bit. But I think, you know, it never festered into something crazy like back and forth or an argument or anything like that, because I kind of knew, like, you know, that's the energy that you're putting out. That's the vibe that you are giving off. So that's exactly what you're going to get back. Right. A lot of people, you know, like you said, will kind of fight fire with fire or something and be like, you know, these people are treating me this way and I got absolutely nothing to do with that. But yeah, you gotta sometimes, if like what I try to tell some people, don't care about what people think. Yeah. But if everybody is kind of looking at you some way, you gotta go look in the mirror, like be like, okay, is it a little bit true?
Yeah,
like, so that's kind of, you know, how the approach I took. And so that's why I think, my senior year, like I said, when I did like set, like I literally started my year, like I literally wrote down, like when I write down like my plans and stuff, like, okay, I'm gonna make friends this year. And that's what I did. And it was kind of like, some ice had to be broken, because when I just started appearing at events or starting appearing at parties or something like that, people were like, wait, that's the one. Like, and then once they start talking to me, like, oh wait, he like actually is like damn near like the life of the party. Like, hold on. So that's kind of what it turned into. I do think though too, like that notion of me, people never really got rid of it. So it was almost like when I did finally become friends with everybody and was like in group chats and stuff, and like had a big friend group and was just like cool with everybody. It was something that we, like my freshman year and like how I was, we really like shied away from that conversation. Like whenever someone was trying to bring it up, I'll be like, don't even bring that up. Like, don't even talk about that. Cause that's like the past or whatever. But
well, it's good to hear the growth, and it's good to hear you take some accountability, because again, some people just neglect that and then they just don't grow from there. So it's good to hear that you grew. Absolutely. Because like I said, when I walked in here and I saw you, I was thinking, okay, my perception was changing as the second went by. I was thinking, okay, so all right, cool. Yeah. But I do want to talk about community a little bit, because we've also kind of talked about how there have been times where you maybe felt alone and things like that. But now that you do have a team, you do have a stronger community as well. So I wanted to talk about how you also give back to that community. And you have something called Mello Six, right? Yeah, Mello Six U. There we go. Yeah. So explain what that is.
Mello Six University is a nonprofit organization focused on teaching youth primarily like the fundamentals of business. I say youth primarily because, you know, I'm open to helping anybody for real. Yeah, exactly. See how God be working? Yeah. So, so I started it, I think in November of 2022 is when I set out like, okay, this is what I'm about to do. So, it started out as an after-school program called U Dream. So initially starting, I was thinking like, I made it Mello Six U, which is kind of like an umbrella pretty much. And then U Dream, my after-school program, is underneath that. Maybe think of like a food drive, our essay competition. All of that is with under Mello Six U. But back to the after school program, that's what I initially wanted to do. And so I just started reaching out to like many different schools. Of course, the high school that I went to, where I would be most comfortable at, is where I ended up starting. Yeah. So I went there and I think my group had about like a little over 10 kids to start, but only 7 kids made it to the end of the program. So what You Dream did was pretty much just had a curriculum about teaching students about business. Our last day, we had a guest speaker who was like someone that's super successful in business, like way more than me.
Yeah.
That's like, is still actively teaching me stuff, and I'm still learning from him. So I'm like, let me see if he could come in here and talk to these kids and spit them some game word. Not good. Yeah. So the final day of the You Dream program, he came in, he spoke, and then after it, they all presented their business plan that we have been working on for all of those weeks. Like the program was 6 weeks. I am thinking about extending it in the future. So yeah, and then they presented their business plan. At the end of it, I just ended up funding, whoever won their business plan. So the winner had a clothing line, but there was like one student was doing photography. 1 or 2 students actually were doing like making custom jewelry. The student who won was doing like fashion, like me, streetwear. And then there was a couple different, one was doing beauty. She was in the beauty industry, like doing hair, nails and stuff. I can't remember everyone's business specifically, but that's what You Dream was. So Mello Six U is kind of something, just for me to give back. Like if I wake up one day and be like, I want to do a food drive, I'll post it on Mello Six U and not on like my personal Instagram or anything like that.
So I have it's kind of like a 2-part question. So how does it feel knowing that you starting your own thing basically brings others to you? Because you said you have a mentor that, of course, I'm sure you reached out to him, but he probably also felt an inclination to even help you because he knows that you started this on your own. So how does it feel knowing that there are people that are coming to help you from the work that you do, and also knowing that you have an impact on the next generation as far as, having students in a program under you? How does that feel?
Honestly, like while I was doing You Dream and when Mello Six U was first starting, I wasn't even like thinking about how serious it was. It wasn't until the day that they all presented their business plans that we have been working on like diligently for the 6-week period, where I was like, and they were like actively, like some of them blatantly just started their presentation out with like thanking Mello Six U and like saying how much I helped them and stuff. And so I'm like, dang, I did all that. I was like, wait a minute. So I was kind of just like, hold on, like, and it almost made me emotional to know like, that that's what was happening. So I think, within my business plan, which is why I recommend everybody to write a business plan, there was a big part of it in it about giving back. Now, at the time of writing my business plan, I didn't know what I was going to necessarily, I didn't know Mello Six U was going to be a thing. I just knew I had to give back some way, somehow. So I included that within my business plan. So that's why I always recommend people to write one. It's like you won't know it literally sets a foundation for your business. And whenever you don't know what to do next, you go back to that business plan and be like, what did I say I was going to do? Like, what did I say I was about? Like, what did I plan out to do when I first started this? Yeah. And how can I make sure that I'm sticking to this business plan? So that's literally what I did. I sat there, was looking at it like, okay, I said I'm going to give back, but how though? Like, how are you going to give back? And
I always think it's important when I hear people giving back, because I feel like that brings the community up.
It does.
You'll feel more, like, I feel like you'll feel more alive knowing that the people around you are people that helped you, but they will also help you in a way.
Exactly.
It's like, all right, yes, I know you learned from me, but this is what that person learned, and this is what they can bring back to you, and now we're both better for it.
Because it's bigger than me at this point. Like, honestly.
Because you said you funded his project, right?
Yeah.
I also want to know what that feels like, being able to know that you want to do this thing. Okay, I have the tools to help you. Here you go.
Exactly.
Like, so what is that like? I've never done it like that.
Amazing, honestly. And I say it like that. I talk a little bit about this in my book too, because when I was starting, like, if I have someone like me to help me, I would have been able to like do a lot of stuff. Like, I would have prevented bumping my head so much because I was so young trying to be an entrepreneur and do all of this. So, and there was so much stuff, but that's also was my own fault because the resources are always there. Like I'm not the first person to, do something like this or help kids and stuff like that. You just got to go out there and find it. So that was kind of like my goal with Mello Six U, to take these kids up under my wing and let them know like, yeah, this is able to be done. Like this is possible. If you want to have a clothing brand, it's very possible for you to have a clothing brand right here in Cleveland, Ohio, and ship stuff to an island or something like that. So that's just what I wanted to like, that was my main goal with that. And I think honestly, like a student that's dedicated and, thanks me, like a thank you from a student means like a million times more than just a purchase of like, somebody like bought this. Like, so I think that's why I am like I love my nonprofit. Like I love working on it. Although, it could get a little bit hectic sometimes balancing everything. I think my nonprofit is where my heart is in it. Like, I'm not someone who is obsessed or like love money, because you're going to make money anyway, is what I always tell people. Like, so it's just like, you got to find something, you got to find a purpose. And the purpose to me behind my business, including the apparel and the fashion and all of that, is Mello Six U. Like giving back. That's actually the purpose, not to make money.
I'm loving all of this. I do have an interesting question for you as well, though. So do you feel more like a creative or a businessman?
I feel more like a businessman.
Why?
I say that because I think, like with my creativity, I'm definitely a very creative person, but I think my creativity is chaotic. Like I don't have any, like, even with designing my clothes to this day, like still today, there's no method behind how I design my stuff. It's literally just like I'll sit down and just draw something random and scrap some stuff and keep some stuff. Like this sweater, for example, was freestyle because it's my tattoo. But the other sweater that I dropped was more intricate. It was something that, that I thought out and sat there and planned. But, so that's why I kind of would say I'm more of a businessman, because I do a lot of different things too. So it's not like I'm just only obsessed with fashion and creating fashion and doing this and doing that. I would say ultimately, I'm just like a businessman in general.
Wow. Okay. Because I know we talked about discipline earlier.
Yeah.
So you just said that like this that you have on right now was freestyle, right?
Yeah.
Then you say you did have something else that you kind of sat on and really thought it out.
Exactly.
Did you like one result better than the other?
Yes. And that's an interesting thing, because what's crazy is like, I swear if like with my customer base for Melo Six, I swear they only like the stuff that does the best is because I say it. Like, so now I want to test the theory and like just lie one release and be like, okay, this is my favorite, and hype up one thing that's really not my favorite just to see. Because like I hyped up the sweater that I dropped before. That's why I wore this one. Cause I'm like, let me wear this one instead. Cause I've been hyping up the other one. Everybody like that one. That one got the most sales. This one has been selling too, but that one got the most sales. I ran a poll on IG like I always do. And the other one was like 70% liked it better. This like 30% like this one better. So yeah, I think that's the interesting thing about it, like for sure.
Wow. Cause I always think it's interesting when you talk to someone that has a business, but is a creative. So, cause I know you need both.
Exactly.
Need both. Like, I mean, you're in business because you are a creative.
Exactly.
But then at the same time, to sustain yourself, you're going to need the business part.
Yeah. Every creative needs to have a business mentality in order for their creativity to do what they wanted to do.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it's like hard to balance that.
It is.
Because I mean, one is very structured and the other one does not always seem as structured. So
I will drop a gem too.
Okay.
One of the books that literally no cap shifted the way I think is called The E-Myth. Everything that me and you are talking about right now, this little discourse, it talked about this exactly. And they call it's called the E-Myth. Okay. So they describe it as you having three versions of yourself, everybody, whether you are a business person or you're not. They say the technician, that would be what you are right now, like how you came out here and you working and you directly in the field. They say the entrepreneur, which is the person who thinks business related. And then I think the other one, I don't think it's creative, but there's a third one. I can't remember what it was, but it kind of taught me that you got to have time for all. Like, you can't just be all creative. Like, if I was a painter, I can't just be sitting in my room painting shit all day and expecting it to sell. You got to be able to, you know, be an entrepreneur and have a business-like mentality too. You got to balance all three personas within yourself. So that's a book that that's like probably my favorite book because it literally shifted the way I think.
By, you know who wrote it?
It is by something Myers. Something, let me see. It's by something
That's
Myers.
definitely,
that book is, it'll blow your mind, bro.
So like the technician sounds like the one that just goes to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then.
Like when I was in college, when I told you earlier about Mello Six, when I always refer to it when I was just making money with Mello Six, like selling my dragon suits, making blah, blah, blah. That was the technician me. I didn't have a business plan because the entrepreneur version of myself was not, even though I thought it was existing, it was not. So, let me see who is the author of that book. That book is amazing. It's something that I always recommend.
That's a gem right there. Yeah, I know for me.
Michael E. Gerber.
Michael E. Gerber. Okay. The E Myth.
The E Myth.
All right. I'm gonna have to check that out for sure. I love when people recommend me books as well, because I mean, it's always a part of, you know, personal development. You want to develop further than you are, of course. So yeah, man. But I think that from speaking to you today, I've heard some things of, you know, growth, awareness, and consistency. We were talking about consistency earlier, because I mean, it's like, even when you didn't know what the path necessarily looked like, I'm sure there was faith there, but also you were consistent in saying, I'm not gonna take no for an answer. So I'm gonna keep at it until it works, and then you have all of these different results coming from that. And bro,
consistency is the key. So like, one of the biggest keys to success, honestly, because if you don't take yourself serious, how is anybody else going to ever take you serious? Like, is what I would always wake up and tell myself, like, if you're not taking this serious, why would you expect anybody else to, especially now that I got a team of people that I work with? It's kind of like, if I just wake up one day, you'll see eventually when you do like work with different people and stuff and bring people into your podcast to help you and work with you, you'll see like, it's a direct reflection of you, like as a sole owner of like all of this. If you if you wake up late one day or something like that, or you're late to a meeting, the next meeting, one person go randomly just say like, why you never were late before? Why are you all of a sudden late? So it's like, you got to set the tone for your life. Like literally exactly what you want, whatever you want it to be, you got to just wake up and be that every single day.
I respect that. I do feel that. Cause I mean, I wanted to be a podcaster, and it's like, oh, I have to wait till this to do this. Now, people refer to me as that, or they'll say I have a show. Bro, it's just crazy what happens when you make that decision and then just follow through, and just how everything else follows form.
Like now everyone knows you before they even probably know your first name. They know that you be podcasting.
I've hacked. Bro, I'll be doing this. But I do want to ask you a few more questions just before you wrap up. So what is one of the biggest lessons that you learned that you wish you knew sooner when you were starting your business?
That was a good question. Let me see. Okay, I'll say one of the biggest lessons that I learned is that to probably ask for help, honestly, because like I said, prior to all of this, I didn't have a business plan. I was just making money. So I think asking for help and seeking assistance where you know you need it is probably one of the biggest advice that I would give to my personal self. And I say that because with me, I'm very bullheaded and it's like stubborn in a way. So it's like, if I feel like I'll force myself to learn some shit before I go reach out for help. It's how I used to think. And I think a lot of other people think that way too. Like a lot of entrepreneurs, you know, that are just as bullheaded as me will be like, oh, I'm not about to pay for that, or I'm not about to, you know, seek out help when I can just do that myself or learn how to do it. I had to learn that, you might be able to do it yourself, but you can't do it as great as this dude that's been doing it for a while has been doing it. So seek assistance, and you'll first of all, because when you seek help, you know, most of the time you helping out this person just as much as they helping out you. And the growth on both sides is just really, really interesting to see.
Okay. And how old are you again?
Just turned 23.
Just turned 23. All right. So what is one of the biggest things that you're happy that you know now that you didn't know when you were younger?
One of the biggest things that I'm happy I know now. Maybe. Well, that's a hard question. Maybe. Let me think. I'll say. I would probably say one of the biggest things that I'm happy I know now is that I am able to write the narrative for my life. Whatever I want to happen in my life, just like, for example, we talked about my job earlier, how I wanted a job. I literally wrote that down to happen, and it happened. Prior to, like, you know, growing up, like, especially growing up in the hood where you only see, this is all you see, like living in the projects, it's very hard to think outside of that. Like, a lot of kids can't think outside of the box that they're in.
Yeah.
And so they don't know, like, I didn't even know that it was possible. Like, when I learned about like selling clothes and stuff, I'm like, how is, like, I didn't even know much about shipping stuff. Like, how did this get from here?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, oh, so I'm gonna need a website. Like, you know, like, and now I know that whatever it is, it's really true when they say like the sky is really not even a limit. Whatever it is that you want, you literally just write that narrative and work towards it every single day. Like, you don't gotta worry that it won't happen. And I think that that's something that my younger self probably needed to hear. Like, you know, whatever it is that you want, all you gotta do is write the narrative for it and do it. Like, work every single day towards it, and it'll work out.
So you think younger you would be proud of you right now?
I think younger me would probably be like so blown away by me right now. Only because, like I said, you know, some of this stuff, like back then, I wanted a clothing brand, but I never, ever, ever would have expected it to be what it is now. Like, I couldn't even process like the thought. And that's another reason why I started my nonprofit, because I know a lot of kids are in that same thought mentality that I'm thinking that it's not even possible for something like this to happen for just random people, like even a kid, even people younger than me, like a student that I funded his business. If he wanted to, he could be big as me or even bigger than me.
Right.
Like, and that's what I instilled in him. Like, you don't got like age or none of that is not really a factor. Like,
yeah,
you could literally write the narrative for your life.
Yes, sir. You were dropping some game, man. I'm happy we did this because, like I said, even I had a different perspective with you, and just as soon as we started talking, I was like, wow, this is different, and I can tell that you have grown and you are different as well. And I just want to say, thank you for being a guest. Absolutely. I remember when you reached out, I could tell you were excited. You were like, hey man, I would love to be on the podcast. I was like, oh shoot, bet. I can feel the enthusiasm so bad. Let's go ahead and do it, right? So I appreciate that, man. Absolutely. I'm glad that we got to do this.
And when I reached out, I think I was like, I forgot what month that was, but I most definitely was probably in the midst of doing something with the You Dream students, and I came across, I'm like, bro, this would be dope if I like was able to go on there and like talk about it and talk about my nonprofit and stuff. So that's what, because the more kids that know about it, you know, youth and everything, the better. Like, honestly, the more that they see that stuff like this is able to happen. Like, even that's why I say your podcast is like a perfect thing, because there's so many people like that come on your podcast, like Tori. As a teacher, I know it's a kid that want to be a teacher that just probably watched that and learned like a ton. So,
sir. I appreciate you, man.
Absolutely.
And I just wanted to say thank you to the viewer of this episode and the listener of this episode. I hope that you were able to take something away from Tramell, Mr. Mello Six himself, take some gems away as far as being a creative, being a business person, balancing both, and, you know, some other life tips as well. And I hope that you have enjoyed this episode. And with that, that's been your episode. Look at this camera right here. And that's it. Peace out.
Peace.